Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from Lifting Pins and Needles. Welcome to my channel, and this is one of the first videos of the month where I'm going to be showing one of my makes. So every month I'm going to be making a Pinterest inspired garment. I have a board full of things, and one of the things that's really important to me is that I make things that I need, you know. So I really need another denim skirt. I have one that I made so many years ago and it goes with everything. So when I'm getting dressed, I usually reach out and grab that one and wear it like so many times. So I thought I need another one and I'll be creative and make a different one. So I chose a photo, just looking around, seeing skirts, and I'll insert a photo here. And I really like the shape of that hem. So when I find things on Pinterest, I usually have two approaches. One is to totally self-draft, and the other one is to use a pattern I already have. In this case, because all the manipulation of the design is on the front, I mean the back part of the skirt is just a normal skirt, you know, I'm going to use my skirt block. So I'm not going to show you here how to draft the skirt block again, because I've already got a video on this channel showing you step by step, very easy. So I'll be sure to link that so you can go and watch that if you haven't watched it. I mean, in a few minutes you can have your skirt block. So yeah, you can go ahead and look at that if you haven't seen that. So I love the skirt. I'm really happy. I filmed all the process. The things you're going to see here is how I manipulated the front pattern piece of my skirt to create that design. You're going to see me using new accessories that have come with my new sewing machine. Some of the new feet I've come to really find useful. You're going to see me eliminating darts from the waist, all sorts of jazz. So go ahead, have a look at that, and then I'll be right back. So we're using our basic skirt block, but I'm just going to be fiddling around with the front pattern piece. You can fold your paper there on like a middle and then put your front pattern piece on it, and I'm going to retrace it so I just have one pattern piece for the front. This makes it easier for me to fiddle and do all the design lines. So I'm quickly just tracing this out all the way around. I'm also marking the darts real well, and then I'm cutting my pattern piece with my paper scissors, really, not my fabric scissors, by the way. I'm also going to cut out, as you see here, the darts. I'm cutting them out because I plan to eliminate them from the design, so it's just easier to chop that off. There is my front pattern piece, and if we look at my inspiration picture, we can see all those lines. So on one hip it's quite shorter than on the other hip, and I'm guesstimating one side 8 centimeters and the other side 16 centimeters, just so the line goes quite diagonal across and you can really see it. So I'm going to mark that there, one side longer, one side shorter, and then I'm just going to go and trace a line across with my ruler. Then I've got that done. I'm looking again at this other diagonal line, and just be creative. I don't need to be perfect. I look at it and I make the line when I think it's gonna look okay on me, you know, and similar to what I see in the photo. So you can see me moving the ruler a bit, and then I decide on a place and just go ahead and trace the line. And the same with the other line that goes across on the other side. You see I've made a line there, so I have that asymmetrical shape on the front. I'm marking my grain line marks, so when I tear this pattern apart, I know how to place it well on the fabric. Those little circles mark number 1 on the top and number 2 at the bottom, so I know how to place these together when I've already cut the fabric. I'm going to eliminate these darts, so this is the top piece, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick that together, and then I'm going to do the same with the other side to make it look like that. So I've got no more darts. I mean, they are there, but they're not there, you know what I mean. Here are my 3 pattern pieces for the front. You see the number 1s are marked there, and that's where I'm going to unite the skirt. Now about the layout, I've already cut my back pieces and then I've extended all the rest of the fabric and then laid my pattern pieces open. You can see I've left a lot of seam allowance. First, I'm going to hem that little slanted thing. I'm going to hem that first because then I'm going to sew it diagonally across like that, and then I'm going to unite it to the top. So that is how I'm going to do the front piece. Then the back, I'm going to unite that middle seam, do the zipper, and once I'm done with the front and the back, then I will unite the skirt on the side seam. So I'm using cotton contrasting top stitching thread where I'm going to sew that little hem first. I'm using a 1.5 centimeter, 5/8 of an inch distance to hem, and it's going to look like that. Afterwards, one of the last steps of my skirt is going to be to top stitch the other side that I'm showing you there. So that'll come later, almost towards the end of the process of the skirt. So you see that's how the hem is going to look afterwards. So I'm not going to fiddle with that. I'm going to make the skirt and the hem will come at the end. My darts, I don't do them traditionally from the fatter part on the top to the narrow part. I sew them the other way around, from the narrow part towards the widest part, and that gives me a better finish. I hand wheel the beginning of the dart, as you can see here. First 2 or 3 stitches, hand wheel right on the edge. I leave those strands loose so I can later knot them. And then when I'm happy, then I start sewing normally and I finish the dart. It just makes more sense. You can see my point there is quite accurate, quite straight, and then I go ahead and knot that 2 or 3 knots. And I find on the other side, it just looks really, really nice. So give it a go. If you sew from the other way, from the wider part to the narrow, have a go doing it the other way and see if you like it. It's just a thing about trying, you know. See, it looks really, really precise. And look how it looks on the other side. No dimpling, it just looks really nice. So yeah, I'm using a recycled zipper. Yeah, I've already chopped off the tops because this was on something else. I can't remember what. So I'm just going to place my zipper there on the back seam of the skirt, and I've marked with a pin there the length of it up to where I have to sew. And then I'm just going to go ahead and sew that back middle seam of the skirt. You see I like to press everything as I go. I'm pressing the darts outwards and I'm pressing the back seam open. There I've hand stitched that place where the zipper is going to go. That's how I do my centered zip insertion. I open that and I place the zipper behind that, and that's where then I place all the pins, and then I stitch my zipper. I'm going to link in the description box another vlog where I show this in detail. You can see I've got my pins, and then I have to just stitch, and there we go. I did it the fast way this time. There you can see I've also top stitched my darts. So now I'm just finishing putting this together, the top piece of the skirt with the bottom piece of the front part. I'm going to top stitch that, and I'm using my 1/4 inch foot, which makes my top stitching look really perfect. I'm really happy with this new foot I'm using because it just makes everything so nice. So now I'm doing the side seams as one of the last steps. This goes really fast because I've already overlocked all the edges, and then all I have to do is press those side seams opened. I love pressing while I sew. I don't like pressing then afterwards when I'm using clothes. I'm also pressing the hem. I guesstimate the distance. I'm pretty accurate because I've got a lot of experience. I don't like need a ruler. So now that I'm going to sew all the way around to that little corner, then turn my machine and finish up to the top. And that's going to be done using a 1.5 centimeter, 5/8 distance that I look on my metal plate at the bottom, and I get that pretty accurate. Now once I get to this part, I can't rely on the metal plate because it's covered with a skirt, so I'm just freehand doing it, and it turned out pretty straight. I think I didn't do it that fast, and I think it turned out good. For my my band, I just cut a long strip. Of course, the elasticity is going sideways. I measured 10 centimeters, and I'm overlocking one of the sides. I folded a piece there inwards, and I'm going to place the raw edge to the skirt, right sides together, and I'm going to pin all the way around, and then I'm going to stitch this with a 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way to the end. So yeah, it looks faster here than it is, but yeah, just take your time. I like to do it nice and precise, so it's nice and straight until I get to the end. Now the end is overlapping about 3 centimeters. As you can see there, it's all stitched. On that side, it's right on the edge of the zipper, and it's folded, you know, a little bit there, but on the other side, there's a lot hanging there, and that is the side that is going to overlap onto the other piece of the waistband and where I'm going to do my buttonhole. So there, I'm going to fold everything. I'm going to fold that in and then fold it down, and I'm going to carefully pin this all the way around. I take my time with pinning. I want it to look really accurate. I want it to be really straight on the front and the back. As you can see, after I've done that, I can go ahead and stitch. I'm using another foot for this. I can't remember the name, but look how accurate the top stitching is. I think this is a stitch in the ditch. Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, I use that to go around the waistband and on the top, and I'm just doing this for decorative purposes. So I have a layer of top stitching on the top as well. So this is towards the end parts of the skirt. I'm almost done here, and yeah, this is when like you start getting really excited because your thing's almost done. I've marked my little buttonhole, and that is all. So I tried to make that little portion as short and concise as possible. I know everyone doesn't like watching really long videos, so I tried to make it, you know, everything explained, but sort of fast-ish. So here is the skirt. I am so happy with it. And I'm gonna share 2 verbs that are my favorite verbs when I'm doing this sort of thing. 2 verbs. One is eyeballing and the other one is guesstimating. They are just crucial to the way I sew. When I do things like that, you see these design lines. They might not be exactly like the skirt, but they resemble it quite well. And then that slanty bit there, which you might not see that much, but you can see my top stitching there. And this asymmetrical hemline. So the back is just normal, nothing interesting to see other than my new buttonhole there and my button. I'm really happy with that. And how perfect is this top stitching? Just perfection. I've never had a garment with top stitching that perfect before. Look at the dots at the back. Oh, they're just beautiful. So I'm so happy with this. See how that really nice hemline is? It's really cool. I just really like it so much. It's a really different skirt. I haven't seen people wearing a skirt like this out on the streets. Usually just a normal hemline. I like playing around with hemlines, especially if it's like just like a pencil skirt as such. And all the interest of those lines like that is it's just for visual interest really. It doesn't change the shape of the pencil skirt, and the top stitching just highlights those, you know, those asymmetrical pieces that were created on the front piece. And of course I have some quote-unquote artistic photos of the skirt. So have a look at those. Anyway, I hope you liked it, and I hope you can try making a different design on a pencil skirt. I mean, if you have any pattern from any skirt, you can go ahead and just cut lines, add seam allowance, and have a blast. doing this by color blocking or whatever. I just chose to do it quite traditional because it's a piece of clothing I really need, just a comfy dark blue stretch denim skirt that I'm gonna use so much. Cool. So I will see you again on Tuesday when I upload the next vlog, and that's going to be all about the cloning thing I've done for this month. So happy sewing, have fun, don't forget to like, subscribe and click on the bell button so you get notified, and that's all. Bye.